complete this telephone assessment about your health. Everyone received the same telephone screening. The answers that you give on the assessment will determine your position on the priority list. We ask that you be truthful to the best of your knowledge, and they select the most frail clients from the priority list first, okay?
Okay. Yes.
All righty. So I have O-M-A-R for your first name.
O-M-A-R, yes.
Middle initial M.
Middle initial M, yes. My full name is Omar Mohsen Ibrahim Fuad. First name Omar. Last name Fuad. F as in Foxtrot. O as in Oscar. U as in Umbrella. A as in Alpha. D as in Delta.
All right. And we have 12-14-88 for your date of birth.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. And then the number that I just called is the best contact number.
Yes.
And then we have a alternate number listed, 850-800-0970.
Yes.
All righty. And what is your race?
I was born in South Florida. But my mom and my dad, they're Egyptian. My father, he retired from the Broward Sheriff's Office after 30 years of service. And my mother, she's a private school teacher.
Okay. Primary language is English.
Yes.
Do you have limited ability reading, writing, speaking, or understanding English?
Yes. Unfortunately.
Okay. Your marital status?
I was married when I had my first daughter. But since then, my oldest daughter's mother, she's remarried and had children.
Okay. The address list. All right. Come on. All right, and I got this on yesterday. And do you live alone?
Yes.
Do you have a primary caregiver, someone that helps you in the home with your personal care, housekeeping, medication reminder?
No, not yet. They sent me a list of companies that I could get a referral for, or I could request to pay out of pocket until I get a referral.
Okay.
It's just kind of expensive, but it's a necessity at this point.
Okay, and what is your monthly income?
I'm on Social Security disability income. I don't have any other income other than the food stamps.
Is that about $9.15 a month?
The Social Security is approximately, if I'm not mistaken, $9.40 something. Let me double check. Hold on one second. It's $9.43.
Okay. Do you own any assets, like a checking or savings account, second home, second car, IRAs, or CDs?
I have a savings account, but the money is for my medical expenses and my necessary living necessities to try to fully recover as best as possible. It's not enough.
Okay, is it 0 to 2,000, 2,000 to 5,000, or $5,000 or more?
$5,000 or more.
All right, and for this program that I'm going to place you on the waiting list for after we're done, is the managed long-term care. Once your name is selected for that program and you go through the process, Department of Children and Families are the ones to approve and deny, and your assets will have to be under 2,000. Will you be able to spend down?
I can't control when you say assets, what do you mean assets? Like savings accounts?
Yes, sir. Savings account, checking account, CDs, IRAs. It has to be under 2,000.
To qualify for the home health aid?
No. We don't do home health. That comes through a doctor's office. The program that you're eligible for, because you're under 60, is the managed long-term care. That's what we're screening for. And once your name is selected for that program, you get the doctor to fill out the 3008 form. Department of Children and Families are the ones that to deny and approve, and your assets have to be under 2,000.
Well, I don't think that's going to be possible because the money that I have in my savings account right now is all for my necessary living necessities, and for me to be able to fully recover, or at least try to. And I have several legal and medical affairs right now that I have to fulfill. It's either I fulfill them or I'm never gonna be able to fully recover. And that money that I have is all for that.
Okay, so you say you have an attorney?
I have 2 attorneys right now. I might have to hire another attorney. I'm trying to find one that's pro bono. That's
okay.
Difficult though.
Okay. Yeah, your attorney should know about this program, so we'll keep going. And just mention that to them. Once you talk to them again, just let them know that you've been screened. Well, you're going to be screened in a few minutes. Just let them know you've been screened and placed on the managed long-term care waiting list, and they should be familiar with that, okay?
Okay, but the $2,000 in my bank account, I don't think that's going to be possible. Because that's gonna put me at risk for self-neglect if I only have 2,000.
Okay, but you have an attorney that can assist you. That should be able to assist you with the program. That's what I'm saying. The attorneys, if they're familiar with the managed long-term care, they can assist you with becoming qualified for it.
And how will they assist me in being qualified for it?
You have to talk to them about it. See, there are attorneys that assist clients with when they're over income and assets. There are lawyers or attorneys that assist their clients with becoming eligible, because you say the money is there for you to recover. So your attorney should be able to explain it to you, how they can work around that.
Okay. Yeah, one of my attorneys, I owe him right now. So far, I've paid him $1,500 out of $15,000. And my other attorney, I need to pay him approximately $30,000. So it's I don't know what I'm gonna do at this point if the judge
they allow you to have 25 for end of life services. So if it's like 4,500, then 2,500 can go towards end of life services. They'll give you credit for that. So is it way over the 4,500?
It's not even necessary to even continue with the program then, because it's just it sounds like the interest of the program, it's outweighing my benefit of accomplishing what I need to accomplish. I don't want to be, stuck in a situation that involves, long-term care just because of a program's interests. I've experienced that type of situation before, and it sounds like this particular program's interest, it just doesn't have my best interests in mind. It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, if someone has legal and medical affairs that are in excess of 2,000 or 4,500, at the age of 35, and they have injuries to their neck, their back, their lower extremities, and they literally penny pinching just to try to fully recover or maintain until they're able to fully recover because of legal and medical affairs that are pending. It's just it doesn't make sense to me to continue with the program that just doesn't have my best interests at hand. That's just like saying, either you go with the program and put yourself at risk more than you already are, or you just don't go with the program and continue to tough it out and act like you're not injured, but in all actuality, the injuries are getting worse and the pain is increasing and the pain is lasting longer because of the fact that you're toughing it out when you need a home health aide to help you just accomplish your necessary living necessities at the least, like cleaning up, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the main problem. Is my neck is hurting all the time just from doing normal things like cleaning up, and that's why it's a necessity at this point that I obtain a home health aide, because I was trying to just tough it out. But
like I said in the beginning, home health aides come through your doctor's office. Now, this program is called the Managed Long-Term Care Program. Once you're approved for this program, you'll pick a Managed Long-Term Care plan, and then that plan will send workers out to assist you in the home.
But they require for it to be, you said, in between 2,000
at least 4,500. Yeah, 4,500 or less.
Yeah, so that's going to be impossible for me. That's not healthy for me. And from any perspective, because I'd be putting myself at risk more than I already am now.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, it's like, for example, knowing that if you, walk into an environment that is known to have, toxic activities that are trending, and you don't protect yourself, like wear a face mask or some sort of PPE or things that are acknowledged to be a necessity in demographic areas like that. It's equivalent to someone putting themselves at risk. So it doesn't help me.
Okay, hold on a minute, okay?
Okay.
Hey.
Yes.
Marissa, I have Mr. Omar on the phone. I was trying to explain to him about his assets. This is a young man that Naeli was
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I was trying to explain to him about the assets, because he says assets are over 5,000, and he says it's going to be impossible of him spending down to the 4,500. And I just wanted to to, call my supervisor and let you explain that to him about the assets and about, says he has two attorneys, for other reasons. And I was, trying to explain to him that most lawyers do know about the managed long-term care program, but I just wanted someone else to explain to him about the asset limit and, make sure I'm not missing anything and make sure he understands.
Okay, he's on the line?
Yeah, he's on the line.
Oh, okay. Mr. Omar, you here?
Yes.
Okay, how are you doing today?
Been better.
I know this is probably information that you don't want to hear, but the Medicaid long-term care program, it does have the income and asset guidelines, like Miss Tasha was telling you. So you have to be under $4,500 for the assets, under $2,829 for the income. Now, sometimes there are some ways around that, but we are not the determination of the income and assets. The Department of Children and Families is, the Medicaid office. And so you would ultimately be submitting an application to them, and they're the ones who actually determine, for the financial approval. And so if you already have an attorney, I would suggest that you contact them about it. If you need us to email you, something about the long-term care, we can email you that brochure so you'll know exactly what you're trying to speak to them about. But yes, sir, it does have an income and asset guideline. Now, I have seen some people get around that somehow. I don't really know how. I've had somebody who had $20,000, and sometimes you can maybe pay caregivers or something like that, or make an account for different things, but we don't have that information and we don't know how to do that. But the lawyer, could possibly know how to do that.
Yeah, it's a situation where that makes sense, because it's a situation that, for example, if someone's at risk for self-neglect because they're not financially secure, and they require necessary living necessities, and if they don't have necessary living necessities, for example, they'll be at risk for self-neglect. So that makes sense.
Right. Yes, sir. So do you want Tasha to go ahead and email you that brochure about the program so you can contact your lawyer about it, or what did you
I'm gonna
prefer to do?
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reach out to the legislator here in Florida, in Tallahassee.
Okay.
So he could put in a petition for this type of situation, because I'm really suffering, and it's not fair to me, and I can only imagine how many other people are suffering through the same type of situation. And
Yes,
a lot of the time this type of thing happens when they're injured because of government employees or participating agencies and people of city and state government and things like that. And I'm familiar with those types of people in South Florida, because it's a high traffic tourist area, and that type of thing is common, and there's a lot of those types of victims there. But I just recently moved to Tallahassee, and I just been trying to just stay as safe as possible, because I've been retaliated against and harassed ever since I reported the police brutality in South Florida. So I've been trying my best to just stay safe here. But I was able to learn about the legislators and their powers. And being that I'm in the capital of Florida, that's the best thing I could possibly do, because the the municipalities and entities and municipalities of city and state government, they, in situations like this, like for example, how you said someone would have to have a certain amount of money to be able to qualify for the program. And if someone doesn't have that amount of money and they need the resources of that program and they're not able to obtain it, that's a serious problem. You understand? Because that's
yes, sir. Now there is one other caveat that we do have. You can also contact, because you're under 60. There is the Department of Children and Families. They do have other programs that are not, they don't have an income and asset limit. The home care for the elderly and the home. No, I'm sorry. The community care for disabilities, people who are under 60. You can contact the Department of Children and Families. Now, that program does not have an income or asset limit to it. But our agency doesn't handle that program. The Department of Children and Families handles that program. Would you like for us to give you their number so you can try them first before you contact the legislature? Because that might be some hope for you. That's for people who are over the income limit for the Medicaid program. We just can't add you to that program, but the Department of Children and Families can do that. So I can give you the contact information for their office instead, and maybe they can help you.
What is this particular program? Is it what office is in charge of this particular program that they're offering today?
You talking about our program? We're talking to you about the Medicaid long-term care program. But the Department of Children and Families has the program called CCDA. It's a community care program, and it is for people who are under 60 years old who are over the income and asset limit for the Medicaid long-term care.
And the what department is this that I'm talking to now?
Oh, here now we're the area agency on aging, and we're affiliated with the Department of Elder Affairs.
Is that a government municipality or a government entity?
We're a nonprofit, and so we receive funding from the State Department, which is the Department of Elder Affairs. And we disperse the monies to the counties in our 14-county area that we have.
Okay. Are you also located in Tallahassee?
Yes, we're located in Tallahassee.
Okay. Who's the...
You want us to email you the information for the community care program with DCF? So you can contact them to get on their services instead?
I'd have to think about that.
I think that might be helpful.
Yeah.
Before you say, okay, there's no help, because they may be able to help you through their program.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you who is the best legislator here in Tallahassee to speak with about these type of issues?
Now that I couldn't tell you because I'm not well versed on that. You probably will have to look that up, like on the internet or something like that.
Okay. Do they have?
I'm sorry about that.
So you don't have to be sorry about that. So do they have city hall meetings like they do in South Florida here in Tallahassee?
I'm sure they do, but I don't. I just don't have that knowledge.
Well, I know in South Florida they have a city hall, and when these type of issues become, a reoccurring problem, people have the opportunity of going to the city hall, and they have several chairs where people could sit in, and they have a microphone, and then the people, they speak on the microphone to everybody in the room. And a lot of the people that are in that room, they're legislators, they're firefighters, they're police officers, they're members of city and state governments, and people of similar stature. So it kind of helps and makes it easier, because when they see that somebody's affected to the point where they're willing to speak on it to several other people who have the ability to change laws or make laws that help people in these type of situations. It helps, instead of just having to constantly feel hopeless. And it's not a good feeling, because I felt like that for a long time, and it wasn't until I realized that the best thing I could possibly do is to obtain my law degree and my medical degree, after suffering for so many years and not being able to find an attorney to help me. And every time I'd go to a doctor or an emergency room, they tried to cover up the fact that I was beat up by the police and I was being harassed, and every place I was only able to find to live was an uninhabitable rental property that the hospitals would send me to, and there would be people there doing the same thing, which is purposely harassing me and trying to make it difficult for me to obtain monetary relief, and purposely making me sick. And it was literally a strategic plan that was well thought out, and they were unethically hacking my phone. They were electronically harassing me. They were aware of everything that I had to do during, before, and after I did it, just to be able to obtain monetary relief and fulfill my legal and medical affairs, to be able to finish the complaints that I had to file in these situations, and bring this to the attention of the necessary people in government and in federal courts and in civil courts and probate courts and all these necessary entities and municipalities of city and state government. And
Yes, sir.
my daughters, I have a 2-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old daughter. And when I was my oldest daughter's age, I never had anybody who had a law degree and or a medical degree who could help me. I was always having to depend on complete strangers who had a law degree and a medical degree. I never had anybody like that in my family. And I remember every time I would try to get help from people like that for so many years, it was always very difficult for me. And it was always a very frightening situation, because I always immediately noticed that they never had my best interest at hand. It was always, it's either I could afford to pay them to help me, and if I was able to afford to pay them to help me, it wasn't genuine help. It was always to an extent of what their colleagues are going to think about them for helping a Muslim or a Muslim family, and all those contributing factors. Because South Florida it's a high traffic tourist area, and there's a lot of jealousy down there, and there's a lot of racism and discrimination as well. That obviously comes with the demographic area that has a lot of jealousy, and that's something that's normal, and it shouldn't be. Just because it's a demographic area considered to be a high traffic tourist area, that shouldn't be an excuse, and it shouldn't be something that's overlooked, because if you're not able to adapt to that type of environment, it will ruin the best of people. But then again, if you are able to adapt to that type of environment, you can make a lot of money, because corruption is always generating value and revenue and things like that, because anything that is illegal is in high demand.
Yes, sir. Now, I hate to cut you off, Mr. Omar, but I do have a meeting that I have to attend in just a moment. So Ms. Tosh is going to follow up with you and send you that information for the contact over at DCF, so you can attempt to them and see if you can get services through them, as well as send you the brochure for the long-term care program that we have. Okay.
Well, don't worry about it. I'm gonna try to find an alternative resource. I've been in frequent contact with the White House through the messaging portal that they have, and the President the current President Joseph Robinette Biden, he reached out to me and told me to keep him informed about the situation. So I'm gonna message him again and see if maybe he can kind of coordinate this type of meeting with some of the legislators here in Tallahassee, so we could kind of get some relief for myself and people like myself, because at the end of the day, somebody who's at risk and they need specific resources and they're not able to obtain those resources because they're at risk, or they might become even more at risk than they already are. At the end of the day, that's decreasing the quality of their life. That's putting them in danger. It's putting them at risk. It's putting their health at risk. And if they have a family that depends on them, or is going to obviously be depending on them, it puts their family at risk. And at the end of the day, that's an attempt of murder. Because if anybody has to suffer for anything, and there's a resource out there that could help them, they just don't know how to obtain that help, because of the fact that the help that they need is going unacknowledged, just because of the fact that it's normal, because not enough people have spoken up about it, because they're scared, or because they don't have the opportunity to, or they just don't know how to. That's an attempt of murder, because people are taking advantage of that type of risk that people are being put into. And I've witnessed entire neighborhoods that were in on that type of scam. Like, for example, in Davie, right off of Martin Luther King Boulevard, high traffic narcotic
Mr. Omar.
area.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. We've got to go.
So the due diligence corporate at Gmail is a good email for you, Omar?
Yes, but you don't have to worry about sending me the brochure. I explained this situation in detail yesterday to the woman Nayeli, and for some reason she wrote in the email that the injuries were due to an accident, and I specifically specified to her that I was injured by a police officer because I told on him and he attempted to murder me. So the fact that she's changing the narrative of the situation, it's not the type of interaction that I need. You know, I have too many injuries to be sympathizing with crime, and
Yes, sir.
I can't allow myself to be put in any more, predicaments that will put me more at risk than I already am.
Okay, so you don't want the email for Department of Children and Families for the program under 60?
I do, but then again, after the conversations we've had, it's just I think I would have better chances by reaching out to the president and scheduling a meeting with the legislators in Tallahassee to make a petition.
Okay. All righty. Well, okay, so I have that information. If you change your mind about the DCF contact, like I said, it's for under 60, and because of your assets of being over, I can email that to you. You can use it so they can get you on their list. Other than that, the legislator, like you said, you'll contact them.
Yes, and also, this is actually a good thing for the department that you work in also, because
yes, sir.
Yeah, because I'm almost certain that there's elderly people who are in a similar situation as myself, and
yes, sir.
For someone to be elderly and being at risk and being in a situation like myself, that's if not just as dangerous, more dangerous to a human's life because they're elderly.
Yes, sir.
I'm 35. I have a lot of injuries, but if I could only imagine if, for example, my mother or my father or my uncles or my aunts who were elderly and they were in a predicament like mine, I can't imagine that. I can't allow myself to I can't allow myself to let that happen. You understand?
Yes, sir. Yes.
From personal experience, it's torture. It's literally torture. That's how I feel. And it's just like, for example, an innocent child, innocent baby. The innocent baby, is voiceless in a sense.
Yes, sir.
A baby is entirely dependent on people who have life experience, and you can only hope that the people that the baby is dependent on is able to afford a quality life experience, because that's what's going to allow that person that the baby is depending on to be able to properly feed them, nutritious food and the proper preventative care so they don't get sick, and and to understand the things they need to do in advance to make sure that they'll be healthy and have every opportunity in life a day in advance, for example. You understand? So all those things need to be acknowledged and not just overlooked from, literally one nationally trending situation to the next, because that's what's happening.
Yeah.
One day they'll have you'll notice a news report about how, everybody is voting for them to build a wall, so illegal immigrants don't continue to flood the United States and cause crime and do all these illegal activities that are ruining the quality of life for everybody and making it more difficult for people. And then you'll see a news report about how the Trump administration or the Biden administration is being investigated, and then the building of the wall be put on hold, and then a year will go by, and you'll see a news report out of nowhere where thousands of people have snuck in, to the country. And people are thinking to themselves, like, okay, hold on, wasn't there just a news report about them building a wall to, combat all this criminal activity?
Yeah.
And it's literally these serious issues are being overlooked, literally from one nationally trending topic to the next.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally a procurement scam at the end of the day, because all of these things have been acknowledged, and they've been acknowledged for years, that they are a trending crime that is clearly and convincingly and obviously negatively affecting American citizens.
Yes, sir.
And it's benefiting illegal aliens and criminals.
Yeah.
And that's the only way, American citizens are going to be able to, obtain what they're promised through the Constitution and through the law.
Mm-hmm. All righty. Well, I will forward that DCF contact to you, and those people can get you placed on the DCF contacts can get you placed on the waiting list because you're under 60 with their program. If you decide you want to call back and go ahead and do the screening, we can also do that also. Okay.
No, thank you. Don't.
Okay.
Yeah, don't even. I don't want to say don't worry about it, but I think I have a opportunity to where I could speak with the legislators here in Tallahassee, being that I'm in the capital of Florida, and
Yes, sir.
and them genuinely acknowledging that they could help me in this situation.
Yes, sir.
And from personal experience, when I brought this to the attention of the Trump administration,
Mm-hmm.
I was getting harassed a lot, but I didn't give up, and I continued.
Okay.
I continued to report this situation to the White House, and then during the Biden administration, President Biden reached out to me and told me to keep him informed. And
Okay.
I noticed that, as I continued to report this situation, there would be reports that would be broadcasted almost identically in accordance with the things I was reporting. So it kind of gave me little bits of hope. But then again, I also noticed that it was as if, I was the one on trial, for example. And it felt like I was being maliciously prosecuted. And there was evidence of, maliciousness and, malicious prosecution and things like that. And also, trending songs and videos and movies that were being published that were almost identically in accordance with the things that I was reporting. Some of them had the same names of several people in the reports that I was filing as, people who were actors in these movies and videos and songs and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a complete distraction, and it really it slowed the progress of me being able to obtain monetary relief, because literally people were entertained at the expense of my pain and suffering. and I was
Oh my.
yeah, I was witnessing people enjoying that a lot, and
Wow.
for a long time, I didn't know how to accept that. I didn't understand how to accept that because
Mhm.
it was not helping me. It was making it more difficult for me. And when I would reach out to these specific entities and municipalities of city and state government, for example, they would, mention some of these things that were being published, and they would, use some of the terms that were being said in the songs and in the videos and in the movies to kind of like throw it in my face. For example, like, you know, we know that you were beat up by the police, and we know they tried to cover it up, and we know you're injured, but what are you going to do about it? You don't have any money.
Mhm.
We're more powerful than you, and that's what they that's what they portrayed, and they
Mhm.
scared the life out of me for the longest time, and it's gotten to a point where, I'm literally bedridden. When I just throw the garbage out, for example, my neck starts hurting worse.
Yeah.
When I clean up around the house, my neck starts hurting worse, my back starts hurting worse. When I just brush my teeth and I'm leaning over the sink, my neck is hurting, my back is hurting. And
Mhm.
by the time I get to, the top row of my teeth, for example, my lower
Mhm.
back will be burning so bad that I would literally have to hold on to the sink. And then when I would finish, I would literally have to squat down low to the floor because I can't keep my back straight all the way up and keep my head up.
Mhm.
It's just it's so many different problems, and I have to, wash clothes. I have to change my linens. I have to shower. I have to, keep my area clean. I have to put away my groceries. I have to wash the items before I put them in the fridge, and things like that. It's so many
Yeah.
different things I have to do, and it's not fair for me
Yeah.
because these things are making the pain levels increase, and it's making the pain last longer. And that me acknowledging that and me feeling that pain and suffering through that pain, and knowing that, if I continue to just try to tough it out as if I'm not injured, it's gonna be
Uh-huh.
almost impossible for me to ever fully recover. And
Yeah.
it, you know,
Okay. All righty.
and I feel bad for my family also. My mom, my dad, my siblings, my aunts, my uncles. I'm constantly having to complain to them. I'm constantly telling them, the situation, and they had to step in several times. They had to spend extra money. They had to spend extra time, and it's ruined the quality of both my life and their life.
Yeah.
My my mom has cried so many times because of this situation. It
Mhm.
it makes me feel as if I don't obtain my law degree and my medical degree,
Mhm.
I'd be doing an injustice to my mother, my father, my children, and my siblings because
Yeah.
because of the fact that I haven't been able to find a lawyer or medical professionals to genuinely help me for so many years.
Yeah.
And in those so many years, it made my family suffer.
Yeah.
It's not fair for them, and it's not fair for me either.
Yes, sir. All righty. Well, we'll talk to you if you give us a call back, and I hope everything works out for you.
Yeah, me too. I really do, and
Yes,
I
sir.
I thank you for your concern, and
Yes, sir.
I'm not upset with you at all. And
Yes, sir.
I don't want you to think that I'm upset with you at all. I'm familiar with how uh, Florida is, for example. My father, he retired from the Broward Sheriff's Office after 30 years of service. And, him working at the Broward Sheriff's Office for 30 years, it made him sick because, the air conditioning system there was filthy. There was always people smoking inside the building. There was always people, rubbing things on the walls to mask the smell of the cigarettes and the narcotics that they would be using, and all that was inside the air conditioning system for several years. And he was there for 30 years, and it made him really sick. And not just that, but there's a lot of corruption there as well. And it's really bad. And I'm aware that I'm aware that there's people working for these companies and these entities and municipalities of city and state government for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and they're expecting a pension, and they're depending upon the income that they receive from these jobs to be able to afford, their necessary living necessities, to be able to afford their house payment, their car payment, their children's expenses, and the things that, they want to accomplish in life for themselves and for their children.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the time they're aware of the fact that, there's corruption within their workplace, but they're scared to report it. They're scared to allow anybody to acknowledge that they've acknowledged it, because they're worried about being retaliated against physically, or being retaliated against by purposely being fired, or assaulted, or anything like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time they just don't say anything, and that's a serious problem.
Yeah.
And these types of things, if they do not stop, and these problems do not get fixed, I could only imagine by the time my daughter becomes old enough to drive a vehicle, and has to go to school on her own, or goes to her job on her own, or things that she's going to have to do independently. The same situations that happened to me when I was her age, more than likely are still going to be a possibility of them happening to her peers, or anyone, God forbid. So it's a very stressful problem that people are constantly thinking about. I mean, I know I'm not the only one that's thinking about it.
Yeah. Okay. All righty, Mr. Omar. Well, you take care of yourself, and hope everything works out for you. And if we could screen you in the future and get you on that list if needed, then just give us a call back at the Elder Helpline, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Time now is 12:14 p.m. Today is Thursday, March 21st, 2024. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.